face of psychiatry is you and I. Put the camera to your face and take a picture. That is the face of psychiatry.
My name is Doyin. Welcome to Rethink Live with Doyin, where we unlearn to relearn.
The topic for tonight is that we're going to be discussing about the face of psychiatry. Most of you can probably, when you think of psychiatry, you think of patients that are acting bizarre, screaming, yelling, running around, that as people that have lost their mind, right? Even culturally, I am Nigerian, and when we think of psychiatry, the term we use it's called were, which means someone that has lost their mind and is running on the street. That's what we imagine psychiatry to be. But it's very interesting because as a psych nurse practitioner, been in this field, right? Even prior to myself going into psychiatry, I just wanted to work with people and improve their mindset. I felt like that was where my passion and my talents for life lied, right? Or that was where it laid. But prior to going into psychiatry, I also thought that psych patients are patients that have literally lost their mind. They're running on the streets. You can't really talk to them. That was what I also thought at one point. But it's so funny because that's like very minuscule when it comes to psychiatry. The face of psychiatry actually is you and I. This face of psychiatry is the society. When it comes to psych, what we see in the hospital, people that have lost their mind, they can't, get it together. They're saying things that don't make any sense. Yes, I get it that sometimes we have people that are like that. But from my experience, I could probably say that's probably less, probably even 1% if we want to put it all together. Right. And that, don't quote me on that percentage, but I'm just letting you know that's the percentage of what you see when the extreme cases. But true psychiatry, the face of psychiatry, like I said, is myself. It's you. It's literally, I say, put the camera to your face and take a picture. That is the face of psychiatry. The face of psychiatry is not what we have heard, what society has that it is. The face of psychiatry is you and I. And why do I say it's you and I? I see patients every day. And to be honest with you, these patients are coming for things that are just very minute. Psychiatry is stemming from people that are having difficulty falling asleep. It's so interesting in psychiatry what we treat. We're treating people that cannot sleep. Think about a computer that has been on for a very long time and never had the time to reset, never had the time to, get it turned off or reboot. That's what we're treating in psychiatry. That is exactly what we're treating. In psychiatry, we're treating the symptoms you have. So symptoms can be, for example, I'm overeating, right? So for example, someone that whenever they're anxious, they start eating a lot. Or whenever they're anxious, they start, think about, we've all been here before. We are, when we feel anxiety, right? We start, scruffling around, we can't really think straight. And there are people that are in this moment. Literally, every one of us know what it feels like to have lost something. Every one of us knows what it feels like to grieve. Every one of us knows what it feels like to have those moments or nights that we cannot lay down and we cannot close our eyes. Every one of us know what it feels like to feel pain, to feel joy, to feel down, to feel like nobody can understand what I'm going through. Every one of us we've been here. And the patients that I see, right, they're literally, for example, it could also be someone that, is at work and they're struggling at work because, maybe the job is, the boss is, making them over, it's giving them trouble at work. Or maybe they don't understand the work that they're doing. So as a result, they're feeling anxious about it. They're feeling incompetent. This is what we treat in psychiatry. Psychiatry, the amount of patients that I see, let's say 100 patients technically, I would say 99% of them are just you and I. They're literally individuals walking on the street, going to the food market, going to work, driving cars, getting angry, getting sad, being happy, be joyful. They're not the patients you see, that you think of when it comes to psychiatry. They're not the manic patients. That's just a subset of what that is. It's so crazy because society, they're against you getting care for those nights you cannot sleep. But then society is also the one that whenever you start acting out of character than who you are, They're also the ones to say, oh my God, you should have done this and you should have done that. The society prevents you from taking care of yourself. But at the same time, they're the ones that will bring on the loudspeaker to say, oh, did you hear so and so is going through this? Did you hear so and so is doing that? They will be the one to talk about you in a negative light. So I say to people that are feeling that way, I say to you, please go ahead and take care of yourself. We in psychiatry, we're not treating manic symptoms that you think we see in the hospital. That's minuscule. And the reason I say it's minuscule is because you have to think about it. Why is it that people wait to the last minute to take care of themselves? Why is that? Society did that to us. They told us, no, 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 everything else, you can take care of it. You can take care of the way you look, your face, your appearance, right? Your diabetes. You can take care of your high blood pressure. But I tell people, my clients, I tell them, do you forget or do you not know that just like your pancreas is an organ, right? Just like your liver is an organ, your brain is also an organ. It's also an organ. People forget. They think, oh my God, if I treat in psychiatry, we're not treating depression. Oh no, we're not treating depression. And we're not treating anxiety. And we're not treating, we're not treating, bipolar. Oh no, 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 no. We're not treating that. And we're not treating schizophrenia. That's the diagnosis is for you. It's for you to understand what that is. It's for you to understand how your daily life is over time. We're not treating diagnosis. No provider, no psychiatrist provider has ever treated a diagnosis. Isn't that interesting? I'm sure you find out very profound. We don't treat diagnosis. Do you know what we're treating? The root cause of your problem. The root cause of problems could be I can't make the money that I want to make money, but I can't. So guess what? We're going to talk to you. We're going to try to come up with a game plan depending on what provider you go to. You want to make sure you go to a provider that listens to your concerns. That's number one. Now let's go a little farther. What else are we treating? The root cause of your problem. Like I tell you, when I listen to my clients and I'm talking to them, when I'm listening to the root cause of their problems, on average, it's just one thing. They're not sleeping. That's the root cause of the problem. They're not eating well or they're overeating. That's the root cause of the problem. It could be multiple other symptoms like, okay, you're not sleeping. I get that. Okay, now you're feeling, think about someone that is not sleeping. Now they're feeling irritable. They're feeling angry. They're agitated, right? They may not be able to think straight. They may not, so those are the, they might, or better yet, they're thinking too much, too fast. They can't really slow their mind down. So those are the things where, that sometimes people do feel, as things progress, right? They start having recurring negative thoughts that keeps coming over and over and over and over again. Those are the things so it's multiple symptoms, but where is that symptoms? Where is it manifesting from? In most cases, it could be they're not sleeping. So as a result, multiple other things arises from that. A lot of things that were treated in psychiatry, the thing is why people get here, think about it, 80% of our problems, and you can quote me on that, is stemming from stress. 80% of our problems, health problems, it's stemming from stress. And yes, there can be positive stress. We have eustress, EUSTRESS. And we have distress. Now we don't want distress to be over time. We don't want it to pretty much elongate to the point that it's now becoming something that is chronic. You know how you have you're eating salt and now it's not just you're eating salt one day, it's over time you've done that. So that is where psychiatry comes in. We're not treating diagnosis, we're treating the symptoms that you manifest. And most of the time, it could just stem from one thing or the other, which could be literally symptoms of you're not sleeping, you're overeating, you're overthinking, you can't stop, you can't control your thoughts, you're having negative thoughts, and it just keeps reoccurring over and over. You feel you cannot control it. Most of us can all relate to this. Most of us can relate to this at one point in time in our lives. There are different diagnoses we have in psychiatry. When think about it, right? Imagine when, let's say your boyfriend broke up with you, right? And you may feel anxious at that time. Well, guess what? You may be in an acute stress. That is a diagnosis, right? Or maybe you're at work, you're transitioning from a different career path to another, and you're trying to adjust. Guess what? That is also a diagnosis, adjustment disorder. We have diagnosis for that, right? You're feeling down, depressed, for 2 weeks. Anybody, I bet you each and every one of us has felt this way before. It's just that you probably didn't see a provider. So as a result, guess what? You didn't get a diagnosis. It's so crazy, right? You didn't get a diagnosis because you didn't see a provider. So someone else that went to see a provider got a diagnosis, and they maybe at the time felt like, I can't do this by myself, or I just need to talk to someone. So guess what? Every one of us can relate to this manifestations of the symptoms at one point in time in our life. There was a time in my life that I remember I was sleeping. I was sleeping and I felt like like I've tried all that I can, but it just feels like I can't amount to what I really hope to be. I also felt that way at one point in my life, and I'm so grateful that I'm not gonna lie, I'm grateful my dad poured water on my head. I'm so grateful because if I didn't have someone like that in my life to motivate me and say, get up, I don't care what happens, get up and sit at the computer, I probably would have that would have taken on for weeks, and I would have kept feeling that way, feeling like I could not amount to anything. Even though most of you, we all have strong mindset, but anybody can be in this moment, can be in that time frame, can be in that moment at any point in time. Things can happen in our lives to make us feel low. And depression, it's only 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, 2 weeks of feeling low. So I bet you, I'm sure, right? And if it's not 2 weeks, some people it's like low grade. It's a low grade. It's like they feel good, but they're not really they're not all the way depressed. It's just like a little bit of depression. It's like there. Guess what? And it's been going on for 2 years. That is also a diagnosis. We call that persistent mood affective disorder, or we could call it dysthymia. There are people that also have the high energy and then they feel low again. All of us were literally trying to attain the euthemic state. Euthemic state meaning all of us are trying to create a balance in life with our mindset. No, it's not like life doesn't happen to everyone. It does. It happens to every one of us. You know how they say for you to, I know it's kind of crazy to say, for you to really understand someone that is probably, going through a psychiatric phase, you also have to be, you have to be in their mindset. We as providers, we have been through situations like this. And that is why we can have a deeper understanding as to how to help. And then we go ahead and attend. It's like you talking to your friend, because maybe you've been through a depressive state in your life. Maybe someone has lost a child. So you may be able to empathize with them and be able to understand their emotions. Doesn't mean you may be able to give the best, advice, right? Because, for example, if someone is grieving, some people have a different understanding of what grief is. Somebody else has a different understanding of what death, somebody else may be okay with death. Somebody else may not be okay with that. So just because you've experienced the same thing does not mean you will be able to, the end result is going to be the same. I hope that we take this and we show more compassion to others that are maybe feeling, people that friends that and that we go ahead and tell them to get the care that they need when they're feeling low or down. Some people, when they're at that low state, they never get to come up again. They don't get to rise up again. So it's not manic patients. I say something like the society is manic. Think about it. Look at social media. Look at what is going on right now. Look at what is going on, even with the whole PDD situation. Look at what is going on there, right? If this was never brought to the light, right? Can you imagine what even Justin Bieber, for example, right? At such a young age, we didn't know what he was going through. We only saw a star. Every one of us, right? Nobody knows what I'm going through. I don't know what you guys are going through, but we all look pretty. We all look good. So everyone is dealing with one thing or the other. So don't let social media carry you away. That's the icon for Instagram. It's a camera with a snapshot. Look at it. Or maybe I may be incorrect. Maybe I'm incorrect, but that's what it looks like to me. It's a snapshot of a camera. So people are only showing you a glimpse of their life. And you also do the same. I do the same, right? Most people don't really show the sad parts, or maybe they do. There are people that are really, like, literally realistic about who they are. I try my best to be the same, but if it doesn't mean I show everything, even if I'm as realistic as I can be, and I show everybody everything. But there'll be some parts of me that you wouldn't see on the camera. Same applies to each and every one of us. So don't get carried away by the idea of, oh, this person is having such a great time. No, no, no. They could be having a great time. There's nothing wrong with it. And so will you. There's a time and place for everyone. This life, I say that in this life, we're all going through the same thing. We're learning the same thing. We are all learning the same thing. Everyone knows what joy feels like, and everybody knows what pain feels like. Everybody knows what betrayal feels like. It just shows up differently. Shows up differently. So the face of psychiatry, the true face of psychiatry, is just you and I. In outpatient, private practices, literally, that's what we see. They're just individuals that are working. They go to work. They're students, they're young children that are anxious because maybe their teacher called them in front of the class and they're shaken. They're teachers that are literally shaken because they can't even, they're afraid when people are seeing them. They get panicky. They're afraid to, there are people that are literally in the offices and cannot speak in front of the crowd. That's everyone knows what that feels like, right? There are individuals that cannot sleep at night because they are worried about what their children will eat for the next morning, or how would they pay their bills. That's psychiatry. These are individuals that are worried about, would they make it in life, even though they've done the best they can when it comes to schooling. Would they also drive cars, or would they have that? Would they also live out their life and dream? That's psychiatry. That is why on my platform, I know it's called Rethink Life with Doyin. I see a lot of this, and I'm trying to make a change. And I'm grateful that, as life would have it, that it allowed me to discover myself and discover my passion for life and be able to monetize that for myself. And that is something that I do in my practice. And that is something that I do for people, that whatever ideas you may want to open a business, or you're not sure what school or what should you study, whatever it is, I think they should have been doing this for everyone at the age of 13, technically. From age 13, schools should have been helping children to discover who they are. We have what we call the Erickson stage of development. At age 13, it's either I know your identity or you feel conflicted. At the age of 13, this is why in high school, people felt like they didn't belong, because that at that age, that is what it is. You either know who you are or you don't, or you feel like you don't belong. And a lot of things that we deal with in as adults, it's stemming from the way we lived. Our parents, society, the person that bullied you, or you are the bully, right? Or people that abused you or insulted you. We're literally children that are just grown. And that's why we have to unlearn to relearn. This is why the thing is called Rethink. At Rethink Life, that's my slogan: unlearn to relearn better. We can't let society provide that learning. No, 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 no. If you live your life based on society values, you will literally go crazy, and you're not going to enjoy or live the life you truly are supposed to live. You have to be careful what you listen to. You have to discover who you are, not be what other people want you to be, but know who you are, and unlearn to relearn, unlearn some bad habits and relearn some better habits. The question I also want to ask, and you guys can go ahead and comment: why do you think people are fearful of going to providers, going to doctors, going to psychiatrists or nurse practitioners or psych nurse practitioners? Why do you think that is? One thing I can remember very well is about lobotomy, and in history class we learned about that, right? Where they used to, at one point in time, they used to cut people's parts of their brain because they felt that would hopefully heal, right? A lot of, unfortunately, atrocities that happened with psychiatry. And I think that caused a lot of fear in people not to want to seek care. People are afraid that if I take that medication, it's not going to help me. It can change the way I am or change my personality. The medications we give you, right, is not to change your personality. It's only going to make it better. It's literally chemical imbalance. That's just what it is. It's just moderating, okay, serotonin to help you improve your mood, or dopamine to help you improve your mood, or, or norepinephrine to help you, be able to focus much better. And I tell people, we are adults here. Take your health very importantly. Don't go to a provider that is not attentive to you. Don't go to a provider that doesn't listen. Not saying, don't get it wrong, you have to listen to what the provider recommends as well. I don't care if and not just providers alone. Same thing with the person that deals with your money, the person doing your taxes, the person that is doing your hair. Like, you got to make sure people take care of you. Advocate for yourself, and if you feel this is not fitting what I really want, then to exit. I know sometimes it's hard to exit, but especially when it comes to your health, if you don't believe something, go to another provider and get another opinion. There are times that providers have told people, oh, you have cancer, but they don't have cancer. They were pregnant. You don't want to be the mishap. So go to a provider that is attentive. And there are providers that are. And when it comes to mental health and also the how we got here, I understand that some things were not done appropriately. But thankfully, we have more restrictions now. And Dr. Edith authors she mentioned in the comments, she said, people are afraid of being judged. Yes, absolutely. People will feel like, oh, that, I'm going to get a stigma. I'm going to be that label. I tell my patients, this is what I tell them. The diagnosis is not, it's just a part of you. It's just one part of you. It's like a balloon that has a red dot. It's a balloon, a white balloon that has a red dot. So my question to you is, are you the red dot, or are you the balloon are you the white balloon with a red dot on it? Exactly. We are the balloon with just a speck, different speck. It could be red dots, it could be green dots, it could be purple dots, it could be different things. I get it that it affects the way we maneuver things. But these are people that are still great mothers, right? These are people that, yes, they've been through their hurt, but there is a power in the but. I was this, but now I am better. I was this, but now I am blah, blah, blah. I was this, I was whatever, I was molested, but now you can make a better decision moving forward. We're not the pains we've been through. We as providers, we have to make sure we're bound by the confidentiality oath and the HIPAA laws. So we cannot just go ahead and talk about patients, by, providing information that is, that is not, that is more of a identifiers, such as their date of birth and all that stuff. We can't do those things, or their names and stuff like that. Yes, we can refer to cases, right? In the case, like just say this case, that case, or, this, I saw this kind of situation, but you cannot give specific information. That will be violating HIPAA. That will be able to help let the person be identifiable. So we are already bound by that. That's number one. But apart from that, now when it also comes to trust, it's about, believing that what the provider told you is what you really do have. You have to go ahead and read more about it. I'm just going to give you a historical perspective of how we got here. Why do we have this fear when it comes to society and when it comes to mental health? Okay, mental health in society. So it says here, ancient civilizations. In ancient times, mental illness was often attributed to supernatural forces, right? It was attributed to supernatural forces, demonic possession, or divine punishment, right? The treatment at that time during the ancient civilization was rituals, prayers, and sometimes exorcism, right? Okay. Now, for the Hippocrates and the medical model in ancient Greece, Hippocrates proposed that mental health issues were as a result of natural causes, such as imbalance in bodily fluids, right? This laid the groundwork for viewing mental illness as a medical condition. Okay. Now, later on, Middle Age. It says during the Middle Age, mental illness again became associated with supernatural beliefs. Many individuals were ostracized, imprisoned, or subjected to brutal treatments. Another one we also have here, it says the Renaissance and the Enlightenment period, which was the 16th and the 17th century. It said they saw a shift towards more humane treatment with the establishment of asylums. However, conditions were often poor and patients were frequently mistreated. In the 19th century, right, the 19th century brought about significant reform. Okay, this was led by Dorothy Dix, who advocated for better treatments and conditions in asylums. The moral treatment movement emphasized compassion and rehabilitation. In the early 20th century, right, almost done. The earlier 20th century, we had the rise of the psychoanalysis by Sigmund Freud, Freud, probably saying his name wrong, but I don't know if Sigmund Freud. It says, and the development of various psychotherapies began to change the perception of mental illness. However, this era also saw the introduction of lobotomies and the electroconvulsive therapy were often misused. Now, mid 20th century, the mid 20th century marked a turning point with the introduction of antipsychotic medications. The deinstitutionalization began, leading to the closure of many psychiatric hospitals, but often without adequate community support for those with mental health issues. Late 20th century to present. The late 20th century saw growing awareness of mental health as a significant public health issue. Campaigns to reduce stigma and improve access to care gained traction. However, challenges remain, including lack of funding, disparities in access to care, and ongoing stigma. Throughout history, right? Throughout history, societal attitudes towards mental health have shifted from fear and misunderstanding to a greater recognition of its importance as a part of overall health. Today, mental health is increasingly seen as the critical aspect of well-being, but many issues still needs to be addressed. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting how we have progressed when it comes to mental health, right? It was once seen as a spiritual attack, right? And some people still see it that way, even till now, right? It's so interesting. They don't see diabetes as that. They don't, right? Or they don't see high blood pressure as that. This thing are all the same thing. Mental health can affect, if you're not, for example, even if you have, for example, someone that has an iron issue, you can start hallucinating if your iron is low. You can have moodiness if your vitamin D is low. You can feel also moody and not sleep well if you have vitamin D is low. We also have substance-induced psychiatric issues, whereby people that are taking marijuana, there are people that have taken marijuana. People don't talk about this, but this is reality. We see this. They have become schizophrenic, seeing things that are not there, right? Having delusional or paranoid delusions. We do see that. And there's some people that do not come back to the norm. They don't go back to the normal state. So you have to be careful, even the food you eat, right? The food you eat can also affect your mental health, right? Not sleeping well can affect your mental health. What you're drinking can affect your mental health. What you're smoking can affect your mental health. So a lot of things can affect your mental health. And it's not just, overthinking and all that stuff. So I want you guys, so it's so interesting how we saw the transition from transition from the spiritual aspect, right? We went from spiritual aspect, then we went to, we went to the supernatural beliefs that people had, and some people still have that, right? But it's so interesting, the introduction of medication. It's it's a new thing. Thankfully, we've progressed in a positive light. And the medications are there to just support you. There are some, I tell people, you don't have to be on the medication for the rest of your life. I hope people understand that too. There are some cases you don't have to be, but there are in some cases that you have to be. Right? If someone was abused or raped and they're having flashbacks every night and they cannot sleep, That is right. You having and things are, in your relationship is affecting you, right? Then you're having PTSD right there. If someone is like, because they want to feel calm, they start counting, they believe that they have to, flick the lights or brush their hair 10 times, right? Just to gain control. That is also, we have OCD there. So there's a lot of things that are affecting our mental health. And it's literally the way we live in our lives. So I hope we have unlearned today not to think of psychiatry as this big, huge thing whereby, you have to, everything has to be crashing down for you to go see a provider. No. Mm-mm. Okay. Look at PDD right now. I bet you he's having a major meltdown, right? And the people that were affected by those parties as well, they've been going through a lot, right? Being a star, we idolize them, but we only seeing what they're dealing with. Even Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake as well, right? He's also going through a lot. They're just you and I. That is the face of psychiatry. You're going through things, feeling down some days, feeling better the next day, feeling anxious once in a while, all that stuff. There are people that just maybe they didn't learn the way to cope well, right, at a younger age. Or maybe they did learn to cope well, but this is bigger than what they can handle. So they came to talk to someone to get the help they need. So same thing about when it comes to diabetes and high blood pressure, right? You go ahead and get the help you need. Unfortunately, people wait to the last minute to get the help. So don't wait to the last minute. Okay. That's not the face of psychiatry. What you see in the hospital, that's the extreme cases. Some people have to be on the medication for a long time. But psychiatry, we're just manipulating the chemical balance, the chemicals you already have, or we're introducing some chemicals with the medication. But most of the time you have these chemicals already. We all already have this chemicals, you have it. Everyone has it actually. Okay. And all they're doing is just manipulating, making sure it's regulated. That's it. It's like a thermometer in your body just to make sure everything is balanced. Feel free to subscribe and share with your friends. Follow me at Rethink Life with Doyin. Have a great night. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Don't forget, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.